Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we have a highly specific mission for you.
We really do. It's a fun one.
Yeah, because our source material today isn't some 300-page book, you know? It's not a dense scientific journal. It isn't even an hour-long documentary.
Right. It's almost the exact opposite of that.
Exactly. In fact, it is an incredibly condensed, minimalist excerpt. We are basically just analyzing a single title and its core thematic directive.
Just one sentence, really.
Right, just one sentence. The text is, quote, "Mastering the Blueprint of Daily Productivity, Daily Habits for a Productive Day." And we are taking this brief text and treating it almost like a mathematical formula to decode the profound framework it suggests for managing our time.
It is a fascinating exercise, because a title like that is just heavily loaded with intent. We aren't simply looking at, a reminder to drink more water or a basic to-do list.
No, definitely not.
The phrasing here points toward a complete, integrated, philosophical approach to structuring human behavior over a 24-hour period.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because what is so intriguing to me is that every single word in that directive feels deliberately chosen to carry this heavy conceptual weight.
Yeah, it's very intentional.
And before we can even talk about the daily actions we take, we have to look at the structural foundation the source proposes. That brings us to a very specific noun blueprint.
Blueprint.
The text doesn't say schedule, it doesn't say guidelines, it demands a blueprint.
What's fascinating here is the psychological shift that happens when you adopt the mindset of an architect rather than, say, a firefighter.
Oh, I like that comparison, a firefighter.
Yeah, because, most of us approach our days exactly like firefighters. We wake up, the alarm goes off, we look at our phones, and we immediately start putting out fires.
Right, the frantic morning scramble.
Exactly. We answer the urgent emails, we respond to the Slack messages, we just react to whatever is loudest in our environment at that exact moment.
And when you operate that way, your day is entirely dictated by other people's priorities. You are just a reactionary mechanism.
Which is the exact opposite of having a blueprint. A blueprint requires proactive, intentional design.
Like you have to sit down and draw it out.
Right. In architecture, a blueprint dictates where the load-bearing walls are going to go before a single piece of earth is even moved.
Wow, yeah, that's true.
When applied to productivity, this means you are deciding what the structural pillars of your day are, like your focused work, your health, your family time way, before the chaos of the morning even begins.
See, I want to push back on that concept just a bit, or at least explore the friction of it.
Okay, go for it.
Because when I hear the word blueprint, I picture rigid lines. I picture exact measurements where there is zero margin for error.
Right, the rigid perfection.
Yeah, and in the messy reality of being a human being with a job and a family, doesn't viewing a day as a blueprint create a really fragile system? Like, if a meeting runs 20 minutes late, does the whole structural integrity of the day just collapse?
Well, that is the danger if you confuse a blueprint with a micromanaged itinerary. But let's look closer at how actual architectural design works.
Okay.
A skyscraper isn't completely rigid. It is actually designed to sway in the wind.
Oh, right. Because if it didn't, it would break?
Exactly. If it didn't have that built-in flexibility, it would just snap under pressure. A productivity blueprint operates on the concept of bounded flexibility.
Bounded flexibility.
Yeah, it dictates where the absolute boundaries are, those load-bearing walls we mentioned, but it leaves the rooms themselves open.
So it's about defining the spaces, not necessarily scripting every second of the action that happens inside those spaces.
Yes, and that boundary setting actually reduces cognitive anxiety.
How so?
Well, when you have a firm structure, you actually have more freedom to be spontaneous within those defined spaces because you aren't constantly carrying that, low-grade anxiety of wondering if the roof is going to cave in. The core priorities are structurally supported.
That makes a lot of sense. The structure actually creates the environment for safe spontaneity.
Exactly.
And I suppose there is a biological advantage to that proactive design as well, because when we talk about the modern knowledge worker, we are living in an attention economy. Our environment is actively engineered to distract us.
Oh, the environment is incredibly hostile to deep focus right now.
Yeah, it really is.
Every app and notification is literally designed by neuroscientists to hijack your attention.
Right.
So if you enter that environment without a blueprint, you are relying entirely on in-the-moment willpower to resist those distractions.
And willpower is famously unreliable. It's like trying to hold your breath underwater while people are constantly trying to hand you a snorkel. Eventually, you're going to take a breath.
That is a great analogy. And that brings us to the concept of cognitive load and decision fatigue.
Okay, let's get into that.
The human brain consumes an immense amount of metabolic energy when it has to make active choices. The prefrontal cortex, that's the part of your brain responsible for complex planning, impulse control, decision-making. It's basically a battery that depletes every single time you use it.
So every little choice drains it a bit.
Exactly. If you have to wake up and actively decide when to exercise, what to eat, which project to tackle first, and when to check your email, you have drained a massive portion of your cognitive battery before you've accomplished anything of actual value.
Which means the blueprint isn't just a metaphor for being organized. It is an actual mechanism for biological energy conservation.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head.
You are making the decisions in advance so your prefrontal cortex doesn't have to burn glucose making them in the moment.
You are offloading the cognitive heavy lifting. The design is done. Now, you just have to execute.
But, and here's the thing, a blueprint on a piece of paper doesn't build a house by itself.
No, it certainly doesn't.
You can have the most beautiful, energy-conserving structural design in the world, but you still need the actual materials to construct it, and our source material explicitly identifies these materials.
It moves to the next phase.
Yeah, it doesn't point to daily motivation or daily bursts of inspiration. It specifically pairs a productive day with daily habits.
The macro design must be translated into micro execution. And habits is the crucial term here because of how they function neurologically.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Habits, by their very definition, are behaviors that run on autopilot. They are actions we take with minimal to zero conscious thought.
Right.
Which suggests a bit of a paradox, doesn't it? Is true productivity actually about doing less active conscious thinking? Are we trying to become less aware of our actions?
Well, we are trying to automate the execution, yes. And this is a massive paradigm shift.
How so?
Popular culture often romanticizes productivity as this heroic, sweat-inducing effort where you are intensely focused, grinding away, and making 100 brilliant micro-decisions an hour.
Oh, the hustle culture mentality?
Exactly. But as we establish, that state is metabolically unsustainable.
It's a recipe for burnout by 2 p.m.
Exactly the opposite of what we want. So to bypass that, the brain has an incredible evolutionary workaround called chunking.
Chunking, okay.
Yeah, and this is managed by a different region of the brain called the basal ganglia. When a behavior is repeated enough times in the same context, the brain bundles those actions together into an automatic routine.
It essentially zips the file.
Yes. It moves the behavior out of the energy-hungry prefrontal cortex and down into the highly efficient basal ganglia.
So tying your shoes, brushing your teeth, driving your usual route to work, those are basal ganglia operations.
Exactly. You can do them while your conscious mind is entirely elsewhere, thinking about a podcast or a problem at work.
And imagine if the behaviors required for your most important work functioned with the same frictionless automation as brushing your teeth.
Right. A highly productive day isn't born from sheer force of will. It is the natural, inevitable byproduct of ingrained habits. The engine of intent essentially runs on automation.
It's a profound shift in perspective. You aren't forcing yourself to be productive. You are simply allowing your automated routines to carry you through the blueprint. But let's look at the friction here again. What if someone has spent hours crafting this beautiful architectural blueprint for their career or their health, but they are struggling because the autopilot is steering them right off a cliff?
Ah, yes. This raises an important question. What happens when there is a fundamental misalignment between the conscious blueprint and the unconscious habits?
I imagine that is where most people find themselves stuck.
Absolutely.
Because, the blueprint says, I'm going to write a novel, or I am going to launch this new product. That's the pristine design the prefrontal cortex came up with on a Sunday evening.
We've all been there.
Right. But Monday morning rolls around, and the automated basal ganglia takes over. The habit is, wake up, hit snooze twice, grab the phone, scroll social media for 45 minutes, answer low-priority emails just to feel a false sense of accomplishment, and then complain about being tired.
In that scenario, the materials being delivered to the construction site are completely wrong for the building you intend to construct. You have a blueprint for a brick fortress, but your automated habits are delivering soggy cardboard.
And the building collapses. Not because the blueprint was necessarily flawed, but because the materials lacked structural integrity.
This is exactly why the source text inextricably links the two ideas. The blueprint of daily productivity, followed immediately by daily habits.
You really can't have one without the other.
No, you cannot have the overarching structural design without the automated behavioral building blocks to support it. If your daily habits do not align with your blueprint, the blueprint is nothing more than a wish list.
And that structural failure happens so quietly, too. Because habits are unconscious, we often don't even realize we are sabotaging the blueprint until weeks or months have passed.
Right.
We just feel this vague sense of frustration that we aren't making progress, completely oblivious to the fact that our autopilot is running a contradictory script.
To correct that, you have to temporarily drag those behaviors back into the prefrontal cortex.
Which sounds exhausting.
It is. You have to expend the heavy metabolic energy to consciously observe your actions, identify the cue that triggers the unwanted habit, and deliberately practice a new routine until the basal ganglia can take it over again. It is difficult, exhausting work.
Which perfectly contextualizes the very first word of our source text.
Right, the verb.
Yes, this entire framework is introduced with an active, demanding verb mastering. It doesn't say creating the blueprint. It doesn't say following the blueprint. It says mastering.
The distinction between those verbs is everything.
It really is. I mean, creating implies a one-time static event. You draw the blueprint, you stick it in a filing cabinet, and the job is done.
Yep.
And following implies a passive, almost robotic compliance. You are just tracing the lines on the page. But mastering implies a continuous pursuit. It frames productivity not as a final destination, but as a dynamic craft.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we really have to address the psychological trap of perfectionism here.
Oh, absolutely. The perfectionism trap is huge.
Many high achievers adopt a new productivity system, they design their blueprint, and for 3 days, it works beautifully. But on day 4, reality intervenes. They get sick, a family emergency happens, or a server crashes at work. The blueprint is compromised.
And what usually happens next is the what the hell effect.
Yes, the what the hell effect.
You miss one habit, the day doesn't go according to the exact parameters of the schedule, and you just throw the entire system out the window. You assume you failed the test.
Because they view productivity as a binary state. Pass or fail, perfect or ruined. But mastery is the antidote to binary thinking. Mastery is not about flawless execution. It is about the speed and grace of your recovery.
I really want to emphasize that. Mastery is the speed of recovery. It's knowing that the blueprint isn't some fragile glass sculpture that shatters when dropped.
Exactly. A master architect knows how to renovate when the foundation shifts. A master of daily productivity understands that the system is a living, breathing feedback loop.
Right.
When the unexpected crisis hits, the novice abandons the blueprint and reverts to reactive, panicked behavior. But the master isolates the damage, reassesses the available time, and leans even more heavily on their automated baseline habits to carry them through the exhaustion of the crisis.
It requires a high degree of self-awareness. You have to observe your own days, almost like a scientist observing an experiment. If a specific habit isn't working, or a part of the blueprint consistently causes friction, the master doesn't view that as a personal moral failing.
No, not at all.
They view it as data.
Data that is then used to refine the system. You realize, scheduling my deepest analytical work for 3 p.m. isn't working because my cognitive battery is totally depleted by that.
Right, you don't berate yourself for being lazy.
Exactly. You simply take out the blueprint, erase that line, and move the load-bearing wall to 9 a.m.
You update the schematic based on the reality of the terrain?
Continually. That is the essence of mastery. It is an action, not an endpoint. It is the lifelong process of aligning your conscious intentions with your unconscious behaviors and constantly recalibrating when the environment changes.
It makes the whole concept of productivity feel much less punishing, doesn't it? We aren't striving for some mythical state of perfect robotic efficiency. We are engaging in an evolving practice. We are building, observing the structure, making adjustments, and hopefully laying better bricks the next day.
And by embracing that continuous refinement, you remove the heavy emotional burden that so many people carry regarding their time management. You stop judging your self-worth based on an arbitrary daily checklist, and you start focusing on the resilience of your overall architecture.
So what does this all mean? We started this deep dive with an incredibly brief text, basically just a minimalist pairing of phrases about blueprints and habits. But by decoding those specific words, we have uncovered a comprehensive psychological framework.
We really have.
We've established that true productivity is not about chaotic hustle or relying on the sheer exhausting force of daily willpower.
It begins with shifting our mindset toward proactive architectural design. That is the blueprint. It is the conscious boundary setting that protects our most valuable cognitive resources from an environment that's practically designed to distract us.
And we execute that design through the biological efficiency of behavioral automation. Those are the daily habits. By moving our critical routines into the basal ganglia, we bypass decision fatigue and allow the engine of intent to run quietly in the background.
Finally, we approach this dual system of blueprints and habits with the mindset of a craftsman. We embrace mastering as a continuous dynamic feedback loop, letting go of rigid perfectionism in favor of adaptability and iterative improvement.
It is an incredibly empowering lens through which to view the 24 hours we are handed every single morning. It shifts the locus of control entirely back to you.
Because the passage of time is inevitable, but the structure you build within it is absolutely a choice.
Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you, our listener, with. We have spent this time exploring the mechanics of architecture and automation. If your overarching intentions and goals serve as the blueprint, and your automatic, unthinking daily behaviors are the bricks, what kind of structure are you accidentally building right now, today?
That is the big question.
Take a close, honest look at the routines you performed on autopilot this morning before your conscious mind even fully engaged. Are those specific bricks constructing a mansion that you actually want to inhabit? Or, through unexamined repetition, are your automatic habits slowly constructing a cage, trapping you inside a design you never really chose?
Wow.
The bricks are being laid every single day, whether you are looking at the plans or not. It is your lot, it is your time. Make sure you are the architect. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the automatic structures around you, keep refining those behavioral materials, and we'll catch you next time as we continue to unpack the profound ideas that shape our lives.